started as a simple camping trip, just four friends looking for a weekend escape from their stressful lives. They chose an isolated forest, miles away from any town, lured by its reputation for being untouched and serene. As they arrived, the sun was setting, casting long shadows through the towering trees. The air smelled of damp earth and pine. They set up camp near a small clearing, laughing and joking as they built a fire. The night was supposed to be filled with ghost stories, roasted marshmallows, and the soothing sounds of nature. But something felt off. The first sign came as they were setting up their tents. Jake, the skeptic of the group, noticed an old wooden totem half buried in the dirt. It was carved with strange symbols, its wood darkened with age. Probably some old hunting marker, he muttered, kicking it aside. But the moment his foot touched it, a shiver ran down his spine. Later that night, as they sat around the fire, sharing eerie tales, a sharp, piercing scream shattered the stillness of the forest. It wasn't human. It sounded like an animal, but distorted, unnatural. They exchanged nervous glances. "Probably just a fox," Sarah suggested, but her voice trembled slightly. They tried to shake it off, but the unease grew. The fire crackled and popped, casting flickering shadows that seemed to move unnaturally. Then, just as Ethan was about to tell another story, the fire suddenly died out, snuffed as if by an invisible hand. Total darkness. Only the distant rustling of leaves and their own breathing remained. Jake fumbled for the flashlight, clicking it on. The beam cut through the night, but the trees now seemed taller, the shadows darker. Then they saw it, a figure barely visible between the trees, standing unnaturally still. At first they thought it was a tree stump until it moved. Slow, deliberate steps. The flashlight flickered. Panic set in. "Who's there?" Emma called out, her voice barely above a whisper. No answer, just the growing sense of something watching them. They scrambled to their tents, zipping them shut. The fabric felt flimsy, useless against whatever was out there. Then the noises began. Scratching at the tent walls, heavy breathing just beyond the thin fabric, a low, guttural whisper that none of them could understand. Jake gritted his teeth, gripping his knife. "If it's some psycho messing with us, they're about to regret it," he hissed. Summoning his courage, he unzipped the tent and shone the flashlight outside. Nothing, no footprints, no sign of anything, just the cold, empty night. But as he turned to go back inside, he caught a glimpse of something in the trees, a pair of eyes, glowing unnaturally in the dark. They weren't animal eyes, they were human, and they blinked. Jake stumbled back inside, heart pounding. "We need to leave, now." They didn't argue. Grabbing only the essentials, they abandoned their tents and sprinted towards their car, breathless, terrified. The forest seemed to close in around them, branches clawing at their clothes. The whispers followed them, growing louder, more urgent. Finally, they reached the car. Fumbling with the keys, Ethan managed to start the engine. As they peeled away, Sarah risked one last glance at the forest. The figure stood at the tree line, watching them go. And as they sped down the road, a realization dawned on her. The wooden totem Jake had kicked over, it wasn't there anymore. It was sitting on the dashboard, right in front of her.